Thank you.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi.
Nice
This
to
is
meet
my
you.
first time ever speaking,
Nice to meet
about
you.
anything.
Uh-huh.
So I did write a little bit
Talk a
down.
little close to the mic.
Okay, I did write a little bit down
totally
just
okay.
to talk about.
Sure.
And I really just want to talk about Charlie Kirk and
Yeah.
things like that. So just give me time.
Yeah, no worries.
But
Take your time.
for me personally, as a black woman in America, I don't have really any empathy for him, to be honest, because of the things that he spoke about, the words that came out of his mouth, him saying, hurtful and hateful things. I don't feel like me or anyone else here, if we don't have empathy for him, should be ridiculed or, talked about bad.
What's going on, Silver Strangers? This is your Silver Stranger 01. Strangers gather as the world is on the verge of shatter. Let's get into it.
For not having empathy for him.
Yeah, I can't force you to have empathy for Charlie. I have a lot of, honestly, Charlie's death has devastated me, and I know that it's devastated a lot of other people around me. A lot of we actually have a friend who spoke to Charlie the night before he died. We're just like, it's just hard for us, right? But I can't force you to have empathy for Charlie. The only thing that I have an issue with, like an active, proactive issue with, is when people celebrate his death, because I don't think that anybody who's a peaceful person who was killed for their words should be murdered. Can I ask you what hurtful and hateful things Charlie said?
Okay, so him stating that it's okay for that gun deaths should happen to withhold the Second Amendment was wrong. Him saying that empathy was a made-up word. Him saying that the Civil Rights Movement was a mistake. Even him talking about Juneteenth and how that shouldn't be a holiday when it literally ended slavery and is a way to, uplift people from moving on from slavery and things like that. The words that he spoke targeted black people, women, LGBTQ people, immigrants.
A round of applause. She came prepared. Now, what she thinks may be wrong, but at least she came prepared with an argument, to back up why she feels the way she does. Let's keep watching.
Him saying even that people born here in the United States from immigrants shouldn't be allowed in the U.S. is wrong as well. I also feel like
Just to clarify, you don't.
Could we hear that list just one more time? Because I want to go through some of these. And by the way, there's at least one in there that I disagree with Charlie on, and that's Juneteenth. I think that Juneteenth should be celebrated. I don't know why Charlie said this. I don't know the context around the quote, but I think if not for anything else, all Republicans should support Juneteenth, because guess who freed the slaves? Abraham Lincoln. He was a Republican, the first Republican. And we shouldn't have slavery in the country. I don't know why that's not something that we should all agree on. But for the conservatives listening, Juneteenth should be celebrated, if not for anything other than, if you don't care about slaves, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican and he did it. Slaves were freed in the North by 1804, though. That was 5 years before Lincoln was born.
And what president made Juneteenth a federal holiday?
I'm not sure who it was.
It was Trump.
It was really? It was
That
Trump?
was Trump in 2019 or 2020, whichever one it was. But
What were the other statements?
okay. He talked about Juneteenth. He talked about he said that U.S. people born
Yes.
from immigrants.
I'm not sure how true that is. From my understanding, it was Joe Biden that was president when Juneteenth became a holiday. Y'all correct me in the comments. Let's keep watching.
Yeah,
In the
I'm
United
happy.
States should not be.
absolutely, I
Shouldn't
agree
be
with
allowed
that.
here.
And
Yeah,
Pam agrees with that.
I agree with this 100%. I think that there should be by the way, almost the entire world had this doctrine. It's called just soil doctrine, where the child of a person, as long as they're born on American soil, is an American citizen.
2019.
There's only 4 countries in the world now that have this just soil doctrine. The United States is one of them. This doctrine in the United States comes from the 14th Amendment. The author of the 14th Amendment, he was a senator. And before he died in the late 1800s, he talked about what he meant by this. And what he meant by this was that the children of diplomats, aliens, and foreigners would not be American citizens. You have to have one parent who is a citizen of the United States, or possibly two parents who are permanent residents. You can't just hop the fence and come have a baby, and then that baby is automatically an American citizen. They have no connection to this country. They've done nothing to earn it. They shouldn't be an American citizen just because their parents have jumped the fence.
Okay, what did you guys do to earn to be here?
I was born to two American citizens.
Okay, so what did they do to be born here? Like
They're foreigners and they're aliens. I'm not an alien or a foreigner.
That's been in my
and
head
the author
for
of the
4
14th
years.
Amendment specifically said that the citizenship in the United States will not apply. By the way, this applies. This is the same as the Civil Rights Act that came just before the 14th Amendment,
which he also said was a mistake.
Well, no, he's talking about the Civil Rights Act of '56. I don't know Charlie's reasoning for this. I've heard arguments against the Civil Rights Act, not ones that talk about like it's in a non-racist way.
He said it's the most radical position that he has. So it's like the majority of conservatives don't really agree with that. I don't know his argument either. I
know some. Like I think that the market should be able to decide who they give business to and who they don't give business to, and not in the like you shouldn't be served at a restaurant. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if somebody's racist and doesn't want you to eat at a restaurant, I want to know who the hell that person is so that I can not give them my business rather than forcing them to give people they hate business. I would rather know who they are so I can boycott them. But
for you to say
but
that,
and I'm not saying I support abolishing the Civil Rights Act, by the way.
Okay, but for you to say that, a person born from two immigrants doesn't deserve to be born here or have U.S. citizenship because they didn't earn anything.
Not to two immigrants, to two illegal immigrants.
That's the key.
So I think in most countries now that have abolished just soil doctrine, most of them allow people to become citizens if they're born to two permanent residents on the soil of the country. Those are immigrants, of course, permanent residents. They're not citizens. But I think that you need I don't know how I feel about two permanent residents, but you need at least one parent that is an American citizen. That's for sure.
Yeah. I just want to also add that I'm an immigrant. I came to the country legally. I don't think Charlie Kirk is against immigrants like myself. He's against people abusing our laws or violating our laws, which illegal immigrants tend to do. And then they come to our country and abuse a loophole that allows them to have a kid in the country, and now you have two illegal immigrants with a U.S. citizen.
And by the way, so I just told you about how the author of the 14th Amendment specifically and very clearly outlined that this would not apply to foreigners, the children of diplomats, or aliens. The Supreme Court decision that caused this, that we now just allow anybody to be an American citizen, is Wong Kim Ark. Okay, and it was done roughly 15 years after the author of the 14th Amendment died. They waited for him to die, and then they totally desecrated the document that he wrote and ratified.
Senator Howard.
Okay.
1863.
He also said to bring back public executions.
I don't know how everybody else feels, but I think the person who killed Charlie Kirk should be publicly executed. I don't support the death penalty. I'm exaggerating, of course, but I don't support the death penalty. I see how it could be useful. The only reason I don't support the death penalty, is not because I don't see the utility in it, or I don't think people should be killed for awful crimes. It's only because I have a hard time trusting the government. This is actually probably something a lot of you would agree with. We have an exoneration rate that's far too high, and that includes people who sit on death row. And I don't trust the government to definitively be able to put somebody to death. I think that you always need to. The exoneration process is a check and balance on the justice system, and you get to sit in prison until you die. And during that entire time, between when you go to prison and when you die, you are able to file appeals and get yourself out of prison if you're there wrongfully, and then sue the government for wrongful imprisonment. So I don't support the death penalty, but if we could, for some reason, 100% convict somebody, like we know for like an omniscient fact that this person is 100% guilty of doing a school shooting or some other horrific crime, I say televise it.
Can I just ask you, are you against public executions?
Yes.
Okay. Even in the case, we have this case that was inspired by racism, right? It was a white supremacist in northern New York, I believe it was Buffalo.
Buffalo.
I have to pause it. My applause was for the idea of execution when we know for 100% that the person did the egregious crime. So, yes, publicly execute and name the people that do these egregious crimes once we have 100% proof, and that will deter others. Let's keep watching.
Yeah,
and
he went into
rifle.
Okay, there you go. He went into the grocery store, targeted black people, killed them because of their race. 9 of them, I believe it was. Do you believe this person should just rot in jail, or would you like to see this individual be put in public and executed?
I feel like if we were going to do the death penalty, that shouldn't be something that's public. It should just be done.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just like a preference of like,
Who cares what you think?
you know, what we. I think this ends up being more of like a preference or like a debate of slippery slope or something like that. I think if you could 100% prove that somebody of like heinous crimes actually did it, like a school shooter or the Buffalo shooter, for example, who had the N-word on his rifle and went and targeted black people, I think those people should be publicly executed. I say televise it.
So they stopped doing it.
I was going to say something really prolific, but I forgot what it was.
But I just want to add, like with the death penalty, I believe that regardless of how much due process you get, at some point, if you...
Let me say this to y'all real quick.
We're going to keep talking. We're engaged in civil debate here.
Do not need to be debated about. If y'all believe in something, stand for it, walk away from this.
Hey, give him a mic.
Right?
Can you come up to the mic and discuss it?
Fuck y'all.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's...
You hear that guy? The guy who was heckling them and says, if you believe in something, just stand for it and don't debate your ideas. He's a retard. He's a Looney Tune. If you believe in something, you should be able to defend your ideas. No one says you have to change your idea, even if they're dumb. You just probably should.
A good example of not liking public discourse, right? At the end of the day, Kim and I may have a difference in opinion from you guys, but America is literally founded on the idea that we can disagree publicly, peacefully, and do so.
And we want all of you to have a voice. That's why we're here. That's why we put a mic in front of you guys and give you the opportunity to come up here and speak in front of a lot of people. There's a lot of people watching at home, and I think it's important that everybody see these debates. And yeah, so I'm sorry you got cut off.
It's fine. I also feel like a lot of people are now coming out to talk about how he died, but I don't see anyone talking about people in Gaza. I don't see anyone talking about the House Speaker Melissa
Portman?
Yes, and her husband who died, which they died from a Trump supporter.
I think David can talk about this a little bit more, about how that person wasn't a Trump supporter. But what I would say is, like, I, right now, unequivocally condemn the death of Melissa Hortman. And notice how I think this sign actually does say R.I.P. Charlie Kirk, but he's just the most recent one. Nobody should be killed for their opinions. That includes communists, it includes Nazis. Until you act on your opinions in a violent way, you shouldn't be harmed because of them. And even then, you're not being caused harm because of your opinion, you're being harmed because you hurt somebody. Furthermore, just as a notice for everybody, he's a Jew, I'm a Zionist. We love to talk about Israel. We talk about it probably too much. It's not something that we're talking about on this tour, not because we're afraid of talking about it or anything like that, but just because there's a lot of conspiracy theories that Charlie Kirk was killed by Israel, and it's really something that is divided. I think our side is Israel, and we don't want to disrespect Charlie Kirk's legacy and his life's work by dividing our people. So that's the only reason we're not going to talk about it. It's just because we feel that it's disrespectful to Charlie's memory.
Okay,
We'll talk about. We'll be talking about it eventually, though.
Also, what legacy do you think that he has?
His legacy, I think, was
Doing this.
encouraging people to have free speech, free dialogue, showing people to be fearless in their opinions, whether they're like me or they're like you, giving people like you a platform, giving people like me and David a platform. His mission was to free speech. I guess more importantly to him, his faith. I'm not religious, but obviously Charlie's faith was very important to him, and free speech as well. So I think that was his legacy.
Okay, yes, I've heard a lot about people saying that he was a Christian and things like that, but as far as I know, anything that he spoke about wasn't in the Word of God or showing anything
He He talked about his faith a lot. I think it was probably the thing he talked about most, actually. He tried not to talk about his faith when he was sitting at a table like this with me and you, because, I don't know, are you religious? Okay, you are religious. Well, a lot of people who hold your beliefs, secularism is obviously more common on the left. And so, David and I, if we were religious, right, we're not going to make an argument at a non-religious person from a religious perspective, because it's never going to matter to them. And so we try, religious conservatives or religious anybody tries to argue their opinions on a secular basis so that people can understand them and sort of realize that there's an argument outside of religion, and so that, you know, because like you can't basically like compare apples to oranges, right? If he's not a Christian and I'm a Christian, I can't argue Christianity to him because he doesn't care. He's not a Christian. And so I think that's why you didn't hear Charlie on college campuses talking about faith a lot, but he talked about it a lot on his podcast, and he would stand in front of his supporters. Let's say you guys are all Trump supporters. We've got the opposite that Charlie had. He would stand in front of his supporters and say, do not harass the people that come up to speak to me. Show them the respect that we're not shown on these campuses. They're children of God. They're God's creations, and treat them as such. And he's said this. I don't want to say he said it every time, but like.
Well, no. Every time anybody would start booing in the crowd, right? Like Trump supporters would boo. Yeah. He would step right in and say, "We don't boo people. We don't do this." Why? Because it's a place where he can express.
Where they booed him, and no, he did not say anything. They said that's a freedom of speech. They were booing someone that was speaking, and he did not do anything.
Well, I'm sure that it's obviously difficult to control people. We had that issue yesterday. He remembers. So I think it would be difficult for Charlie to every single time somebody boos, like step in. But he did literally before he would actually start his programming, he would like rally everyone around his tent and say, do not disrespect these people. Be nice to them. Treat them with respect. Show them the respect we don't receive. They're God's creations. Treat them as such. Love them even though they disagree with you. Yeah.
We appreciate you having this conversation with us.
Yeah.
Very, very civil. That's all we're looking for at the end of the day. Because that way we can speak, you can speak. We're tolerant of your position. Same here. You may not agree with it, but we appreciate it. We appreciate everyone being here as well.
Especially the people who disagree with us.
No.
Especially the people who disagree with us.
Okay. Just one more thing. As far as I'm concerned, I do have empathy for his children, but other than that, I really don't. I feel like the things that he spoke about and the things that he said didn't align with what I believe in at all. And that him saying that, you know, death by guns is okay to withhold the Second Amendment is basically what happened to him. And I believe the power of your tongue is very strong. And it's sad for his children, but other than that,
well, I respect you for having empathy for his children. And again, I can't force you to have empathy for Charlie himself. But what I would say is I would probably wager that you and I disagree on almost everything. I think
probably because the hats that you guys are wearing.
Yeah. So, but if you got shot and killed right now, I would have empathy for you, and I would feel bad for you. I think that Charlie would.
I don't think that he would at all.
Even the people that are celebrating, his death, I can't speak for it because he's obviously not here. But from what I've seen, what do you think he would do with them?
I think that he would immediately condemn it and say that you should never kill God's creation. That's what I would imagine he would say. Again,
but he's not going to advocate for their death or something.
No,
like
Charlie
that.
Actively advocated against political violence all the time, and I think that again, we're not Charlie. We don't know. You know, we can't get in touch with him. So, like, we can't speak for him, but we can make guesses based on what we've seen from him and of his character, of how we think he would respond. But I mean, neither of us can really prove how he would react. So it's not like, you know, I don't know that.
Yeah.
You know, we just have to agree to disagree.
Yeah. All right, it was nice meeting you guys.
I appreciate you coming up.
Thank you so much.
I never understood how people could celebrate the death of someone. I can't think of any body that I dislike that I would be happy if they were killed. Even though I dislike them. And there are a lot of people I dislike. A lot of strangers. But I still want them to live their life. I don't wish death upon people or celebrate it. What's wrong with people? Anyway, as always, stay dangerous, my silver strangers. Peace.